let me welcome you all to this event. Can Europe cater for the skill needs of digitalizing industries? Where we will spend the next hour and a half diving into the topic of digital skills. We will start with a short panel discussion around the digital skill targets set by the European Union to be reached by 2030. And we will then split you all up into smaller groups, depending on what you selected when you registered. And there you will be introduced to some of the projects that we are involved in at Digital Europe, and we will be very keen to take your input on those. My name is Helena Lovegrove, and I oversee the projects that we run here at Digital Europe, and many of those are focused on skills. And for those who don't know us, Digital Europe is the leading trade association representing the digitalizing industries in Europe. I will mention that the event is organized in the context of the European Commission's Vocational Skills Week that celebrates best practices in vocational education and training, and we're very glad to be part of this program. It's also part of a series of events that Digital Europe are organizing that we call the Digital Deep Dives, where we bring stakeholders together and zoom into important topics. And digital skills is one of those important topics. So yeah, with the increased pace of the digital transformation of industries, the demand on ICT specialists is not only coming from the ICT sector itself, but also from all those digitalizing sectors, be it the public sector, the manufacturing, health, mobility, just to name a few. And the European Commission predicts that we will need some 20 million ICT specialists in Europe by 2030, which is more than the double of the 8.4 million we have today. And the kind of specialists needed cover a whole range of areas. We need more cybersecurity specialists, we need more developers, we need more specialists in blockchain and in artificial intelligence, and exactly what kind of job profiles and the specific skills that are required for those jobs on the market and how that matches with the available education and trainings are some of the aspects that we address in our projects that you will be able to hear more about later. And there is also a big gender gap, which is a real missed opportunity. I'm using the Commission's figures here, that only 1 in 6 ICT specialists today are women, even though 1 in 3 graduates in STEM subjects are women. And those of you who have chosen to join the Women for IT discussion later on will be able to hear more about that project. And it has been a hugely successful project where we've been trained hundreds of young women into ICT jobs. Then finally, there is also an increasing need for citizens to learn basic digital skills, especially since 90% of jobs require some level of those skills. And recent figures shows that only 56% of adults have basic digital skills in Europe. And the target set by the European Commission is that 80% of adults should have basic digital skills by 2030. So yeah, hearing those figures, investing in the digital skills and lifelong learning is not really an option, but a must. And many stakeholders are already acting. Many of our members already have created their own academies, and training citizens are often part of their corporate social responsibility programs. The EU institutions are dedicating more funds for public-private partnerships, and universities and vet providers are expanding their training offers. So in the upcoming panel discussion, our speakers here will provide us with their reflections on the EU's 2030 digital decade targets for digital skills and what measures and actions they believe are needed to achieve those goals. But before I pass the floor to my colleague Vincenzo, who will moderate this panel discussion, I'd like to thank you all for being here today, for your interest in this topic, and Finally, let me also thank my colleagues who have made this event happen today, Marie Montaldo and Federica Tondo. So thanks, and Vincenzo, I hand over to you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Helena, for the introduction. I think you've already touched upon important points on digital skills, needs, and opportunities, which I'm sure that will be discussed in the panel now. I'm Vincenzo Renda, Senior Policy Manager at Digital Europe, and I'll be moderating this panel on digital skills and the digital decade. So let me just introduce the speakers. We have today Jakub Kajtman, Policy Officer at DG Connect of the European Commission. Good morning, Jakub. Mário Lelovsky, Vice President at ITAS, which is the IT Association of Slovakia. Good morning, Mário.
Hello.
And Marta Przywała, Public Policy Manager at SAP. Good morning, Marta.
Good morning, thank you.
Obviously, I'm very keen to hear from all of you, and also invite, as Helena mentioned before, all attendees in the audience to post any question they may have in the chat. We'll do our best to ask it to the speakers during the panel. So I think I want to kick off with an important consideration, and I think as Helena mentioned before, there's a greater and greater realization that digital skills are today critical for Europe's economy and society. So I want to start with you, Jakub, and I want to ask you, what's today the single most important aspect to hit those 2030 digital decade targets on skills?
Vincenzo, thank you for that question, and also thanks to Helena for the introduction, because she already indeed touched upon the challenges. And I would say the single or silver bullet, let's say, is that we need to work together, and that every institution or every actor has to play his, her part, their role, you know. And it starts with the EU institutions, of course, but it goes to the national authorities, it goes to the universities and education providers, it goes to the companies themselves, to the NGO sector. Every actor needs to play its role. And for instance, on the European level, we already do a pretty significant amount of actions and initiatives that we contribute to reaching these targets. So for instance, the Digital Europe program that dedicates 580 million euros to advanced digital skills. And we have had the first call open earlier this year for the master programs. Now, yesterday, we closed the second call for the short-term trainings for SMEs and companies. So that's really the part on funding where we try to stimulate the, let's say, the offer of the courses or the offer of the training in the advanced digital technologies. The other thing that we do is that we work very closely with the member states through the structured dialogue. We meet them, we talk with them to see what they could do or what can be done else on the European level. So that's a process that will lead into some concrete outcomes next year through the structured dialogue. We, of course, have, and you see it behind me, the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which we have launched just a year ago. So we are about to celebrate the first anniversary actually this Friday. And it's really a home for digital skills. So we are bringing their stories, resources, materials, national strategies, European strategies, everything that you need or would like to know about digital skills. You go to the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, you should be able to find it there. Plus, we have the community of already 4,000 people on the platform with whom you can network, exchange, and we really think that this is the place where people and stakeholders should come, exchange, learn from each other, and ideally form partnerships or produce some new initiative or come up with some new initiatives. Last but not least, we support EU Code Week from the Commission, which is a grassroots initiative, to bring coding and computational thinking to schools and to kids and young people. And we have the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, which gathers companies and stakeholders. But as I said, this is our contribution. We are also keen to see what other actors do, national coalitions, national governments, especially through the Recovery and Resilience Funds, education, of course, universities offer new courses, offer lifelong learning, training and lifelong learning opportunities. And very important is the involvement also of companies, because what we see is that, especially in SMEs, what is missing is actually are the managers who think that they would like to go through the digital transformation, but they don't know how, they don't have the skills in that domain, and so rather they slow it down, and they are not pushing towards the opportunities that the digital transformation is offering. So we really also rely on companies to offer these trainings and to have these managers to have a clear direction on how they want to go through the digital transformation.
Very much, Jakub. And Mário, now I turn to you. What's, in your view, the single most important aspect to really reach those targets?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to confirm everything what Jakub said. I am very glad that we have been there when the Digital Skills and Coalition platform started. We are one of the first coalitions member of the platform, and I encourage everyone to have a look and maybe participate in one way or another, because I believe that the most important things, there are two, not just one. It's cooperation first, and it's recognition of importance of digital skills. So the cooperation, me as a representative of employers, I have to confirm that not yet all the employers understand the necessity, and we really need help and introduction education to understand how important digital skills are. And in cooperation with governments, with support schemes, and with other partners, we believe that we can reach this. And talking about recognition of digital skills on the European level, I have to say I am really happy. Thanks for the coalition, thanks for the Digital Europe program, but also I would like to thank for the idea of appointing the national coordinators for digital skills on the high governmental levels, because that means, and I see it also here in Slovakia and other countries, that finally even the governments, prime ministers recognize that what is it, that this is important. And thanks to Ursula von der Leyen, this appointment, I believe this can move a little bit this, let's say, old-fashioned style of ministry of this, ministry of that, or ministry of something, because this is a horizontal scheme. The digital skills, like lifelong learning, is a horizontal issue, and we need the cooperation on the ministerial level, on the governmental level, and also involving all the stakeholders, employers, employees, and also government. But here I would like to emphasize on that the government should more listen and then perform, not to force, but wait for our agreement. Employers, employees, thanks to the information we will gather, we will come with requirements. So I would say this should be demand driven, but we need to help with recognition. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mário. We've heard the European Commission, an association of employers. So let's now turn to the company. Marta, you obviously represent an important European ICT player. So what's, in your view, the most important aspect to reach really those targets?
Thank you, Vincenzo. Actually, I have here three brief points I will try to develop. And first of all, I second everything that Mário said about the mindset and realization that we need skills, not only new skills, not only new curricula and creating new workforce from scratch, but also the realization that the workforce of the future will need to reskill over time. So we're not in the same reality like our grandparents and parents when they developed one set of skills and they used them over their professional lifetime. But the workforce of the future will need to reskill and upskill over time. And we saw it also during the pandemic, which exacerbated these needs. And it is very important, especially with the very ambitious targets by the European Commission by 2030, because we are talking about doubling the number of ICT specialists. So it is indeed very, very, very ambitious target. And we welcome the recognition of this aspect by the European Commission, among others, in the initiative of individual learning accounts and schemes. And we hope that in the future, it will indeed enable employees to reskill and upskill. The second point for us, very important as a company, because companies, the industry has lots of projects, lots of ideas they would like to implement with the governments and with the European Commission. So the second point is the further enablement of implementation of multi-international projects. We already have schemes in place, for example, the international projects of common European interest, joint undertakings, and their Horizon Europe. However, when it comes to international projects, these ways of implementation of projects are very lengthy. They take time, they take resources. Not everybody can put resources into such projects. And again, we have ambitious targets by 2030. We don't have much time. And we really recognize that digital skills and digitalization overall is recognized in the recovery and resilience funds and the national plans, with programs by the European Commission, also with the new operational programs under the cohesion funds. So we already have the recognition. We just need to find a way to implement the projects. And we really hope that under the new program, the path to digital decade and the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium, we will be able to find a more efficient way. This is a very important point for us. And the last point, so when it comes to cybersecurity, this is for us also like a point apart, because cybersecurity, of course, is about skills and knowledge, but it's also about recognition that it is a process and not skills and knowledge only. So there is a need for a constant vigilant approach, the need for checks and updates. And from our perspective of a software company, it is really important to recognize the user engagement with the vendor to support and provide maintenance for software life cycles. And in this aspect, for example, we are very keen to see what the European Commission is planning under the Cybersecurity Resilience Act, and whether this will be addressed there. And of course, this is also related to skills that enhance cybersecurity of the companies, and not only companies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. I think you also mentioned important points there. So Jakub, you mentioned before the digital skills and jobs platform. So I really want to ask, what's the added value of this initiative when it comes to meeting the 2030 digital skills targets? And can you tell us more about the upcoming priorities of the platform?
Yeah, thank you. So indeed, the platform is something that we have launched last year. Since then, we have gathered, I think, around 1,400 articles and items and resources that we are now offering. We have gathered around 4,000 people who are registered on the platform, and it's really what we call a home for digital skills. So as Mario already mentioned a little bit in his contribution, is that we saw that not only on the national level, but also in Europe, we saw that the efforts in the area of digital skills was scattered. You had one ministry which was active in one country, then you had one NGO which was active in another country, but the knowledge and the experience was not shared. So everybody was reinventing the wheel over and over again. And what we try to do is to bring all of those actors and stakeholders together and tell them, look, maybe you in Germany are doing a similar thing, that similar action that some other actors want to do in Romania. Why don't you just partner up together? And why don't you create something together in a consortium, in a soft partnership, or just to inspire each other and exchange experience? So I think that also replies to what Marta was saying about the international project. So of course, the platform is a soft tool, let's say, to enable this international cooperation in Europe. And we hope that you all will be using it, or are using it, or are benefiting from it. Apart from the platform itself for the international or within the Europe, let's say, cross-border dimension, as Marta, you said, we also work with the RRP and then the Recovery and Resilience Facility. And there, our aim was really to make sure that every country has actions to boost the digital skills, reform of curricula, short-term trainings, university reform, new university programs, digital innovation hubs and their support to startups and SMEs. So that's also our contribution to enable this international cooperation. Of course, Mario already spoke about the, let's say, national coordinators and the structured dialogue. And indeed, this is something that we will build upon in the years to come. And last but not least, I wanted to mention also the, let's say, thematic or field-focused actions. You remember this year, we have presented the CHIPS Act. There was a big part on what we intend to do or what we need to do in order to ensure that we have the professionals with the skills necessary for the development of chips. The same goes for artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, for data economy. We really also focus on these technological fields. But last but not least, I think if we take a little bit the broader picture, it comes to what Commissioner Breton has been saying many times, and this is the technological sovereignty, because we just need to make sure that Europe has this talent, that Europe has this capacity to innovate, to create new products, and to go further with the digital transformation. And when we look today at the European universities, only one EU university figures in the top 20 world tech universities, and this is something that we also try to change, to really focus on the excellence, to really focus on keeping those talented and let's say innovative people in Europe, so that they can innovate and do let's say or push the digital transformation in Europe, and so then to strengthen Europe's technological sovereignty.
Thanks a lot, Jakub. Actually, I have a follow-up question on what you said. You mentioned before the importance of the structural dialogue between the Commission and Member State. How can it help in let's say, ensuring that there's coordination to maximize the impact of upskilling initiatives on the ground? And do you see any link between the structural dialogue and the platform?
The link is there and will be more and more visible, because, of course, we are, let's say, in the first months of the structured dialogue, and what is happening now is that the member states, first of all, the coordinators are getting to be in touch, so that they can learn from each other and exchange. And more importantly, we are really having discussions with the member states and with the stakeholders, and we want to, based on this, let's say, exercise, we want to figure out what needs to be done and what can be done on the European level and also on the national level to reach these digital decade targets. And we know and we see how some member states are, more advanced, some are a little bit less. But also, what is interesting is to see that one thing works in one member state, let's say the education reform, and that's something, if it works and if it goes well, that the other member state can get inspired from. I just an example, in Greece, we know that the whole government approach is really something that they are trying to achieve. So they really want to work across ministries, involve the stakeholders, so that it's not in these silos, but it's really an approach that targets education reform, ICT specialists, lifelong learning, upskilling, reskilling, even elderly people. And so this is maybe one of the examples where we can say, okay, Greece has this good strategy. Maybe some other countries want to take an inspiration, want to take a similar approach, because we see that it might be working. So it's really the structured dialogue is, let's say, a political platform. It makes sure that the digital skills are tackled on the highest level possible. And again, as I said at the beginning, each actor, each stakeholder, each organization needs to play their role. So this is where the EU and national governments play their role. But of course, we will not reach these targets only by doing it, let's say, on the political level. We also need the companies, we also need the universities, we also need the associations, federations of stakeholders who take these actions and who complement what is being done on the political level.
Thank you, Jakub. Mario, indeed, besides, I would say, those aggregate targets on digital skills at EU level, there's a reality of disparities between different EU countries. Just as an example, ICT specialists account for 8% of workforce in Sweden, while in other countries they barely make 2% of all employees. So I really want to ask you, how are your initiatives like the Recovery Fund, which has been just mentioned, and for example, the individual learning accounts, can help in bridging this divide?
Yeah, the lack of ICT specialists in Europe is a big threat. First time I have heard this from European Commission on 2014, so 8 years ago. There were several activities started that time, e-skills initiatives, which we also took part. But I have to say, we probably did not understand it well. I mean, we as member states and the governments, what the real digital transformation of enterprises really means. And it looks like that basically you need to set up the mindset of the company for digital transformation. So you have to find someone who will tell the leader, the owner, the director about this. Usually it's a ICT specialist or close by. Then there should be somebody who will be leading this process and maybe partner for the consultancy company, which is advising to enterprise how to prepare and to manage the digital transformation in all three levels: processes, manufacturing or production, and the human resources. Usually this is also an ICT specialist. And at the end, there is somebody who will have to implement all this. And this is also ICT specialist in all kinds of enterprises. I think most of people, most of entrepreneurs did not recognize this necessity of ICT specialists or close by professions. And now we see a huge lack, and this lack will grow up. That's a real threat. So I would say next to digital skills in overall, the governments should really put a lot of focus on guaranteeing that we will have them enough, or let's say make this lack lower from the basic schools through the secondary schools to the universities, and really to say, okay, if we need them, how the hell we will produce them? Because this is too late to say that this, I said 8 years ago we have found out. Now we found out even more lack. Okay, we are not the visionaries or the wizards, but it is clear that for coming years, the ICT specialists are necessary asset as fuel or energy or water. And if there are wars for water or for fuel, I mean, there is a war for ICT specialists in Europe, and there is a big brain drain throughout the countries. People are stolen from east to the west. Sorry, guys, in the west, maybe some of your ICT specialists are stolen to the US, and I don't know where, to Singapore. But still, we have to really work hard on this lack, because every company will need them, and this will last for years. Yes, there are clever countries like Sweden. They recognize it, I think, very well. There are some countries which put this in RRF. Yes, but not all. I know some countries, including Slovakia, where we put it in, and the politicians, they throw it out. They said the market will solve it. No. This will not be solved just by the market. Market will solve the problem with higher prices. So actually the ICT specialists are overpriced throughout Europe. The cost of ICT specialists normally is higher than the CEO in an average company. So if easier is to find a CEO for a small manufacturing company, services company, than the ICT specialist for that company means you have to pay them more. And for regular SMEs, there is no way to find these resources. And unfortunately, the lack created very high-priced ICT specialists. I am the ICT specialist as well, so I might be happy, but I am also the entrepreneur representing employers, and we are desperate with this problem. So really, we have to put much more focus on that.
Thank you, Mario. I wonder if Jakub, you want to maybe react on or take 1-2 minutes if you want on some of the points that Mario raised.
No, I completely agree with Mario, and I know how the Slovak National Coalition is active in the field, not only let's say towards the ICT specialists, but also helping the general population to learn more about digital skills and get these digital skills. And I want to congratulate, by the way, for the IT fitness test that is now being spread all around Europe. So well done. But indeed, I share very much the analysis that Mario you did. And our response to this, first, let's say the big response that we had this year or started early last year is the Digital Europe program, where we really asked universities to partner up and to create new training programs, new master programs in advanced digital tech, cybersecurity, AI, data, blockchain, you name it, and to help to increase the number of ICT specialists in Europe. But of course, this is one contribution, but we also need to focus on another element, because if we start now investing in the master programs, we will see the benefits of it in, let's say, 2, 3, 4 years. That's good for the digital decade targets. But we also need to look into reskilling and upskilling the employees, and reskilling and upskilling, making ICT specialists out of people who might know a little bit about technology but are not yet there. And what comes to my mind is an excellent Dutch project which is called Make IT Work, which does exactly this. So they partner up with universities and they offer courses to people who want to become ICT specialists, or at least to start becoming ICT specialists, because you don't become ICT specialist in 1 or 2 months, but they give this initial training. It lasts, I think, 3 months or 6 months for people who want to change their career and start working in tech. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the graduates of this program have 92% success rate in finding the new jobs already in the tech sector. So projects like this, we need to support, and we need to replicate them also in other countries, because of course, if they are fixing the issue well in the Netherlands, I guess that like this the issue can be fixed also in other countries.
Thank you, Jakub. And I just want to take 1 minute to remind the audience that you can all post questions in the chat, and we'll read them later in the panel, and we'll address them to the speakers. Now you, Marta, obviously basic digital skills are also key to building citizen trust in the use of digital technology, and eventually to allow it to scale. So can you just share with us some of the most successful types of programs that can really help to fill this gap at basic digital skills level?
Yes, thanks, Vincenzo. SAP is involved in several initiatives, and I would enumerate 3 of them. The first is Meet and Code. It's SAP's signature coding initiative for young people in Europe, and probably one of the most important initiatives for digital literacy in Europe. So it is rolled out in over 30 countries of Europe, so not only the European Union, also beyond. And it has impacted over 50,000 children of the age between 8 and 24. And it includes hackathons, coding workshops, lectures, competitions, robotics classes, and also other activities. And this initiative was enhanced by the German Interior Ministry, and it was part of the German activities during the German presidency of the European Union. And the German Ministry of Interior hosted the kickoff of this initiative in 2020. At the moment, we are looking for co-founding partners. So if anyone's interested, I can share more information after the event. The second is OpenSAP. It is a learning platform with massive open online courses, and OpenSAP is part of the EU Pact for Skills. We signed our pledge to the EU Pact for Skills, which is valid until the end of this year, and very likely we will extend this initiative as well. So lots of these courses are available globally online. And the third initiative was launched by the European Roundtable for Industry, and SAP is one of the champions of this initiative. It's reskilling. It's called Reskilling for Employment, and has an aim to reskill and upskill around 2 million Europeans until 2025. And at this point, the pilot projects are rolled out in Spain, Portugal, and Sweden. SAP is championing Spain and Portugal. So companies, mostly ERT members, are engaged in these pilots, depending on their interest in the market. And SAP provides programs for SAP developers and consultants, as said, in Spain and Portugal. And the tasks include validating urgent demand in each country, defining candidate mobilization strategy in each country to make sure that these candidates, after the initiative, will find the job afterwards. So implementing trainings and then providing mentoring and placement coaching. We would love this initiative to become pan-European, and we're already looking into rolling out this initiative in other countries, including Germany at this point. And I saw the question in the chat. The first initiative was Meet and Code. I will put it in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marta. Very, very interesting. I think another aspect that I wanted to discuss is that of monitoring progress on those targets. We know that there is a 2030 target, but obviously as important as reaching the target is to make sure that it's constantly monitored and we can see really progress there. So maybe I'll ask first to you, Mario. Can you just elaborate on how to make sure that really there's enough emphasis on ensuring progress on those targets, and what you think that is really absolutely important as the Commission, together with member states, discusses, the monitoring structure around the digital decades?
Yeah, thank you. Of course, people from ICT sector, we always rely on feedback. And based on feedback, we are trying to improve and adjust the processes. So from my point of view, the good strategy is always good as it is well implemented and evaluated. So from my point of view, it would be important maybe on annual basis to make a serious report and evaluation, what was done, where, what are the best practices, what are the bad practices. So to share also the bad practices might be very good and helpful. So from my point of view is the well-structured monitoring and evaluation and feedback is very important to any good strategy. So I would emphasize this point to really make checkups, find out what are the good points, what are the bad experiences, and also communicate bad experiences. I know this is not popular, but from real life, you usually learn on bad experience and you maybe follow the good experience.
Mario. Jakub, I noticed that you wanted to react on Marta's earlier point, so feel free to do so. And it'd be great also if you elaborate on this question. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, yes, I double muted myself. Two small points from my side. The first one is on Marta, because she mentioned a very important point, Meet and Code. Congratulations to you, Marta, now, because it's really, we see how successful it is, and we are happy that Meet and Code is part of, let's say, the EU Code Week umbrella, where we bring all the various coding initiatives and actions under one roof. Again, we try to build it up as the European success story, and Meet and Code is a very important contributor to Code Week. So thank you very much. But what this describes, or what this shows, is how important it is to start early. We see that kids, when we start showing them coding, when we start giving them the possibility to experience and experiment with technology between this age of 8, let's say, to 15, this is actually not training them in basic digital skills. These are the basis of advanced digital skills. This is the basis for them to consider becoming the ICT experts, to becoming engineers, AI experts, cybersecurity specialists. This is the basis that the Code Week, Meet and Code, and other initiatives set within the schools. And so we are very happy to be growing with this, because starting early will at the end hopefully bring more people, more kids, more students to the technological fields. And most important, these initiatives that target the young population also help to bridge the gender gap in tech, because we see that nowadays the girls might be interested in technology equally as boys until, let's say, 10, 11 years old, but then there is a break and they stop being interested. The reasons are many, but what we try to do with Code Week is to keep the girls interested, show them that this is not something that's not a boys' discipline, that the girls have equally the same say or the same opportunities as boys when it comes to tech, and we try to explain it or show it through Code Week and through these activities also to the girls to bridge this gap. So that's how important it is to start empowering these young people early already when they are primary, secondary school. In terms of monitoring of the digital decade, you know that there is the path to digital decade. I mean, the digital decade policy program that outlines, let's say, how the targets should be monitored or how the progress should be monitored. But we already have now a system that is pretty robust, and it has been working for several years, and that's the Digital Economy and Society Index. And there, indeed, Mario, we every year produce a report where we look at the data, where we look at the policy developments in all the member states, and we say these are the strengths. This is where the countries should maybe speed up or boost a little bit. Of course, the Digital Economy and Society Index is not yet fully aligned with the digital decade, but that's something that will happen very time soon, because we just want to make one, let's say, path to the digital decade, and to help the countries on the path to reaching these digital decade targets.
Jakub, Marta, you want to reply on just to elaborate on monitoring progress on those targets?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that we're very happy that the Commission recognizes Meet on Code, and it is a very important part of the Code Week. And also, yes, it's very important for us to see that everybody can benefit from these projects at the same way, so boys and girls, and we try to do it in a fun way. And also some of our employees are very much involved within CRS. And yes, we're very happy that that we can see progress. To be honest, I don't have anything specific to add to what was said.
Marta, and I wanted to get back to an important point, I believe, that you raised before, which is that of ensuring that all companies can access funding, including SMEs, and that the sort of procedures and requirements for applying to funding is not excessively burdening. Jakub, can I get your view on that?
Look, there, I think when it comes to SMEs and when it comes to, let's say, small companies, I understand that the EU funding, especially, for example, the Digital Europe program, can be a pretty a big administrative burden. But there, what we try to do is, as we have just closed the call for the short-term trainings, that was a call that aimed specifically on the SMEs, but not for the SMEs to be direct beneficiaries of the Digital Europe program, but we wanted the training providers and the universities, together with also associations of businesses and chambers of commerce, etc., to build up short-term trainings for then companies and SMEs. So that's one way how we targeted these stakeholders. The other way, which I believe will be or is already working pretty well, is the digital innovation hubs and the other excellence centers, where we are building or we are connecting together a network of these digital innovation hubs all over Europe, with the aim to help the companies to undergo the digital transformation. And of course, one way or one service that these digital innovation hubs are offering is the testing facilities and sandboxes, and basically for the companies that already know what they want to do to come and progress and test these technologies. But at the same time, the digital innovation hubs will be also giving advice, eventually giving training, and helping the SMEs and eventually startups to really figure out how and which digital technologies could help them to grow and to gain this competitive advantage. So I think the approach here is that we lay down, let's say, the infrastructure for the SMEs to be able to get this training, to get this advice. And then, of course, we hope that that as many companies as possible will benefit and use this infrastructure.
Thanks, Jakub. We have a question from the audience, which is directed to you. So, already for you, can you please elaborate and expand on alignment between the index, and I think here is meant the DESI index, and the path to a digital decade? Is there a need of alignment, and if so, where?
Look, I cannot say much in here because if I'm not mistaken, there is still the negotiations going on in there. But what is clear is that when you look at the index, the DESI index, it more or less already mirrors, let's say, the structure of the digital decade strategy. You know, it has these pillars, it has these focus areas. So clearly, if we set out a strategy for 2030, we need to also set out a monitoring mechanism that will help us to track how the member states are progressing. And in a sense, let's look at the basic digital skills here. Since already several years in DESI, you have the indicator which is called basic level of basic digital skills, or at least the basic digital skills. And there you can see how the whole EU and each country is progressing in that one, let's say, metrics, and at the same time that's the metrics that is also in the digital decade. I cannot be more concrete in there because it's of course not yet finalized, but I think the thinking is that these two should go hand in hand.
Thank you, Jakub. I have a final question to you all, and I'll kick off with Marta now. What are the type of quick gains that we can do on upskilling in Europe? What is something that we can really do in the short term to really start feeling that digital skills gap fast? Although I'm aware it's not that simple.
I would say raise awareness about the need, about that the technology is not a monster, that we can use it. And it's really important for the future, and it can make our life simpler.
Thank you. And I like that you mentioned technology is not a monster. Mário?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize on the spread of the importance of digital skills from kids through adult people to seniors. I think we have not yet done everything we could do for silver digital economy. There is a project in Slovakia which we started. It's going slow and it's rather difficult, but I see there a room for improvement. And also what we have been already spoken about, how the girls are not motivated to IT. We have made research on that. And unfortunately, we found out that the responsibles are teachers of mathematics at the basic schools. Most of the responsibility is lying there, besides the general habits, like the girls are good for that and boys are good for the other thing. But we have found out that the teachers of mathematics about 4th, 5th, and 6th school year are somehow really talking to boys and somehow not to listening or accepting that the girls might be clever in that as well. And somewhere there starts something like that mathematics, it's equal to IT, and this is for boys, and that is not good for girls. So that's maybe not a really professional research, but we simply made interviews with teachers, directors, kids, and so on, parents. And we found like this, That's why we started to talk to Slovak mathematician council how to change it, change this, and we got a reply that be quiet because there are not enough mathematics teachers at all. So don't bother them with these problems. So try to do some other things. So that's why I'm happy and I really support what Marta said. I mean, businesses and NGOs, we should come aside of traditional formal education system and motivate girls more.
And now, Jakub.
Okay, so if I remember, the question is the immediate action, right? That
Yeah.
can be done. I would build up on what Marta said. It's about awareness raising, but more concretely, I think it's about sharing the good stories and good experience. And this is what we try to do now also with the Digital Skills and Jobs platform and the first anniversary, and with all the national coalitions that we have connected. We really want to show the good stories from all over Europe, and also encourage people to say what they do, how they improve their digital skills. It can be just someone who would say on social media, I took this training and this was good and I changed my career. Or it can be a company that said, we have trained so many of our employees and now we are opening new business, let's say. It can be the national, let's say, coordinators of digital skills saying, look at what our country is doing. Because I think we see so many good activities are happening, but we just need to push them a little bit up, make them more visible, because then they can inspire. And then what will happen is that, as Marta said, technology is not a monster, and people will start realizing that, and will start realizing that there is so much going on, and it's to make the first steps, it's actually not so difficult, and so that they would be keen in going through these upskilling, reskilling, or taking some additional education and lifelong learning. So please, everyone, if you have some nice digital skills story to tell, go ahead, connect on the platform, and you can tell it there, and we will help you to promote it. And you will definitely find also some other channels on there that will help to promote your story.
Thank you, Jakub, for that. And unfortunately, we need to close this panel discussion now. But I think from our exchange, I think it clearly emerges that there's a need to really scale up some of the best practices on upskilling that exist today, maybe at local, maybe regional or national level, and make sure that really all of Europe can benefit from those and learn. I think we touched upon the important aspect of public-private partnerships, how industry and government together can design effective upskilling practices and initiatives. And I think also we all, I think panelists all emphasize the importance also of making sure that the progress on those targets is monitored properly. I would like to now thank very much all panelists for your remarks and those in the audience that have joined this panel. And I would now like to give the floor to my colleague Marie that will introduce the parallel session. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincenzo, and thanks again to all of our speakers for an interesting discussion full of insights. And now is the time for you to join the breakout session. And before we do that, I'll just share with you a few points with this slide. So for a reminder for you, we have the artificial intelligence skills breakouts, blockchain skills, software skills, and women in digital. I wish you a very nice breakout session.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had some interesting conversations in your breakout sessions. I will invite one person from each breakout session to just give us, a very short summary of the key takeaways from your session. So I will start with the software skills that was led by Jose, and who were you joined by? But I'll hand over to you, Jose. The key takeaways from your session.
Yes, thank you, Helena. We have had a super interactive and interesting session with with many colleagues turning on the cameras and making and responding questions. So I have prepared 5 main takeaways. Really, the first of them is that we have a very urgent market needs of software skills and professionals. But at the same time, there is a mismatch between the training offering at the moment and the industry requirements. So we have SMEs and also big industry with important troubles to find the key and the adequate and the proper software related professionals. Also, and this is very related with our ESA project, we are lacking for the moment, but not now, of a EU-wide common strategy for coherent and coordinated future training for skilling, reskilling, and upscaling of our European software professionals. Then following really the experience of NVIDIA, because Kevin was the co-moderator, the flexibility of the educational offering and materials is very important. It should be more heterogeneous and more complementary. Online, face-to-face and hybrid, but also micro-credential versus formal academic learning, informal self-learning versus certified learning. And also we need to consider the horizontal trend of long life learning. So we will be learning in whatever format and time, all our professional life and even after. Then the hottest software skills needed, as pointed out in our breakout session by the participants, are very heterogeneous. What you need is the complete professional, but also with soft skills, the typical ones like ethic or project management. But also it was pointed out by one of our participants that the software professional should have also other complementary skills like cybersecurity and robotics. I think these are the main takeaways from our session. Thank you.
Super, thank you so much, Jose. Very useful, and we will take notes of all that. Then we go over to the groups discussing blockchain skills.
Yeah, I can take that. Maybe Klavs has something to add in the end. So in the beginning, we can say we had a very interesting presentation and some questions. And we found that for some of the participants, they also said that it's very difficult at the moment to find qualified applicants for blockchain work and blockchain experts. And this is mainly due because we don't have real good formal education in this area, and it's more important to invest in this area of education to find more skilled workers and also to increase the awareness of the technology and to show that this is also a future education path you can go, because in the moment it does not really look like it from the outside when you look at the courses. And also we found that blockchain is a highly dynamic environment, so it's really important to connect all the different blockchain ecosystems in Europe and bring them together and give them the opportunities to exchange. So we are just one of the many projects that are in Europe at the moment, and we found that there are a lot of different interesting initiatives in this area. And also one thing that was mentioned before, is that this soft skills become more important in this dynamic work experience. So this is also something we found in our research. So did I miss something, Klavs?
No, you covered mainly what was discussed in our breakout session. The other thing in terms of blockchain is it is a new digital technology that's still on the rise. It's still developing further. There's a traction being gained by the public knowledge about it. In terms of the skills necessary for working in a blockchain sector, we know that these are lagging behind at the moment. We do know that there are courses that have been established, modules that have been established. And in the breakout session, we also been informed that there is even a new course is coming online very soon, or being available very soon. So Europe planning to be the leader in blockchain technology. We feel that more engagement from the industry with course providers in tertiary education or BET education will only advance the sector overall in Europe. So those are the main key findings from our session. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a very interesting project on blockchain skills. So thank you very much. Now we turn to Valeria, who will perhaps give us some takeaways from the session on artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Helena. Yes, first of all, I would like to apologize with Marina that was just sharing with us a little bit of experience from CMIA about how they apply the microcredential and microcredential certification. We were cut in the middle, so please, Manuela, share in the chat with the audience any link you have on the CMIA experience. It would be very much beneficial for everybody. And from our session, what we learned, I believe, are three main points. Two of them, let's say, are the negative side of the thing. So what's the gap in the market? What's happening in the market that we have to fill? And we have two main points. First, the analytical skills gap, meaning that we need more analytical talent able to support the organization in delivering product and services that are in line with the market. And in parallel with that, we have the business side of the skills. So I saw that the other members that participating in the breakout also mentioned that the software skills soft skills are very much important. In our session, we discovered that we need much more business skills. Those that are really linked to the entrepreneurial point of view, how to understand the market, how to develop technologies that are in line with what the market is looking for and what our society needs in terms of product and services. And artificial intelligence is really that can bring in the market many advanced technologies that needs to be linked with specific product and services that are beneficial for our society. In order to do that, we need more skills on entrepreneurial and business side. And finally, what we know is that specifically on the ARISA project, but I believe also in other contexts, what we need to do is, of course, not reinvent the wheel. We always have to go back and see what at European level we already produce in terms of frameworks of competencies, for example, the ECF or the Entrepreneur framework of competencies that is about entrepreneurial skills and soft skills, in order to build up on this and develop something that is really beneficial for the educational target groups, but also for the market and the businesses. So yes, these are the three main points from our session, and thank you very much to all the participants. It was very nice to have you there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Valeria, for these main takeaways that we will take into account in the project that is just about to launch on AI skills, and it's going to go on for 4 years. I think we have run out of time, but very briefly, I will bring in also Kaja to give us the main takeaways from the Women for IT session.
Thank you, Helena. Just to summarize it very briefly, we focus more on good practice sharing, and we shared a project called Women for IT, as Helena mentioned. The project focuses on training women in digital skills, specifically to bring them right after the training into ICT jobs. And this is the concept of the project itself. So basically, first we have 160 hours of training into a specific job profile, and then it's followed up by a job placement with the different employers in the tech sector. So this is the project that we pitched, and we talked about a lot about the innovative approach of being of targeting individuals and really focusing on mentorship as well as the training and supporting them throughout the journey of learning throughout the entire process. Also the importance of non-formal education and the fact that this is a short-term training, not a full university degree, but the fact that in a short time we are able to bring the women into the jobs, maybe not at a super high level expert level, but at least to kickstart their career in the technology sector. We also mentioned that all of the resources that Women for IT has created, and for the last 3.5 years, it's been quite some already. All the resources are available online and for free, so they can be used as stakeholders see fit. And what we're doing right now with our project with Women for IT is that we're trying to replicate it in different regions, countries, or in local communities. So different organizations can use the project resources, and they can contact the Women for IT project to make sure that they know how to replicate it well, learn from our mistakes, and basically try to empower women in their local communities as well to join the tech industry. That's very briefly it. It was a lovely session, so thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kaja. And yes, I really hope that this project will be scaled up and replicated because it has been very successful indeed. So I see that time is out, and I would like to thank all participants for joining us today, also our speakers and the people who have been part of organizing the event. And we will send a report after the event so that you can also look into the different sessions and the takeaways and hopefully be inspired for other projects. And thank you again for participating in today's event.